Today we take you to a historical milestone for the South Asian community. As a kid, Shoba Narayan was told she would never be a star because of her skin color. But now Shoba is part of reopening Broadway after more than a year of darkness as Jasmine in Disney's Aladdin. In the show's over 7-year run and its dozens of casts, this is the first time the role is played by a South Asian woman. She reflects on the emotional return of Broadway, playing Jasmine in Aladdin, her journey, and her words of inspiration for other South Asian girls to dream big. Shoba, welcome to our show today. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Nisha.
Are making waves in Broadway, and you are truly a role model for so many out there. Tell us how it all started. I know in your childhood, you would be singing A Whole New World, doing a performance for your family in the family room. Tell us about that experience and what Jasmine meant to you growing up.
Sure. Well, thank you for the very kind intro. I'm so happy to be speaking with you today. It all started in my home. I grew up outside of Philadelphia in a small suburb called Bryn Mawr. And I was a theatrical kid. I don't really know where it came from. I think Disney probably had a lot to do with it. When I was growing up, Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid were constantly playing in my house. I wore out those tapes. I knew every word, every lyric of all of those movies. And I began putting on these one-woman shows for my family every night. Luckily, my parents are avid arts enthusiasts. The region of India that they are from deeply cares about the classical Indian arts. So they did something wonderful for me, which was they put me in art forms of both the East and the West. So I started ballet classes, classical Indian voice lessons in Carnatic music, specifically classical Indian dance, Bharatanatyam, violin lessons. I was doing musical theater as well. So they really allowed me to explore both sides of those worlds and learn Indian arts and Western arts in parallel.
And why was that so important to you, to get a bit of the East and a bit of the West?
Well, I think at first it was important to them because they wanted me to understand where I come from and have some sort of connection to my ethnic backgrounds.
Your school put on a production of The Wizard of Oz and you wanted to try out for the lead role. Tell us about that experience and what your mom told you.
So anytime I had a chance to be part of a musical theater production, I was always first in line. It was the highlight of my year. In 8th grade, we had our own designated musical. It was a very big deal. And The Wizard of Oz was announced. And the first thing I thought was, oh my gosh, I want to don those ruby slippers. I want to be Dorothy. And my classmates, because of what we see in mainstream media and how we're represented on stage and on screen, discouraged me a bit in my want to play that role. They were not the nicest. They said, Dorothy is white. She's not brown. They mocked me and said I look ridiculous with red hair, and I felt so disheartened because I knew in my gut that I could do it, and I knew in my gut that that was what I wanted. And so I went home from school that day and I told my mom, and her response was, audition for whatever you want. Don't listen to the other kids at school. Don't listen at all. Practice, do your best, and see what happens. And so I took that advice and I did that times 100. And I remember being called into the auditorium. So the way that they announced the roles was so dramatic for middle school. They had everyone come in and they announced it from the smallest role to the largest role. I was sitting amongst my peers. I no longer wanted to share how much I wanted it. So I was just kind of sitting in silence as different people were being called for different roles. And I remember my heart started racing because I wasn't hearing my name being called. And then finally I heard at the very end, Shoba will be playing the role of Dorothy.
Oh, wow.
And I could feel the shock in the room.
And what a proud moment.
I couldn't believe it, but I also could believe it because I I had worked for it, and that moment to me represented, I guess, the moment I realized that my ethnicity was going to play a role in what roles I would play in the theater, and that I think that was just such a pivotal moment for me.
Absolutely. Decided to study performing arts.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about some of the challenges you faced with that path.
Oh my gosh. Well, it is a tough field to be in, full stop. But to be in it as a minority, specifically a minority amongst minorities, I mean, there are roles for African Americans, there are roles for Hispanics, there aren't necessarily a ton of roles for someone like me. It was scary. It was scary to go into this field. I graduated, and I did not anticipate this. I got the most requests from managers and agents out of my entire class, which I just didn't. I did not anticipate happening because of the signaling that I'd gotten all of those years from like just not seeing myself represented. What drew that kind of response was my belief in myself that I was sort of putting out.
And that's something I hope echoes throughout our episode today, to believe in yourself.
I mean, if you don't, who else will?
Right.
I ended up graduating, and yes, I had amazing agent response, which was wonderful, but my struggle didn't end there. It was still a lot of auditioning and rejection after rejection after rejection. Things are trickier for a minority.
And it's easy to get disheartened in the process.
100%. I actually ended up starting my professional career more in TV than on stage, which was also something that I didn't anticipate. I made my TV debut in the original Gossip Girl. I played one of the new age queen bees in the final season. I also worked with Asif Manvi on a web series called Halal in the Family. I played a young Priyanka Chopra on the pilot of Quantico, and I have a couple of movies under my belt as well. But it was in 2016 that I got the call that I'd be making my Broadway debut in a show called Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812. I understudied the lead role of that show, and that was a monster of a role. She really carries it. And through that experience, I actually learned that I was the first South Asian woman to star in a Broadway musical in, at that time, 13 or 14 years since Bombay Dreams. A wonderful thing that happened. Following that, I originated the role of Eliza Hamilton on the national tour of Hamilton.
And you came full circle in Broadway with Wicked.
Yes.
The Wizard, you went from the Wizard of Oz from when you were a kid to Wicked.
Yeah.
Full circle. How did that feel?
It was crazy. It felt very, very full circle to be back in Oz. Yes. After, having my first, I wouldn't say that was my first musical experience, but that pivotal musical experience in my 8th grade, to playing this role on a Broadway stage.
And I can see that all the roles you've played are about strong women.
Yes. I'm
breaking
very
barriers.
Lucky. Yes.
And
absolutely.
You are breaking barriers now as well. And I want to now know the day that you got a call from your agent asking you if you would be interested in playing Jasmine in Disney's Aladdin. What was your reaction, and tell us about that day?
Yes, well, we were in the thick of COVID, actually. I was living in the Miami area at the time, and I got a call from my agent. And the plan at that time was I was in Wicked, which is right across the street. Right. I was in that show when the shutdown happened, so the plan was for me to return to that show. But my agent called me and said, "Hey, how do you feel about maybe going into another Broadway show as a principal?" I was like, okay, like what show? I didn't know.
Where is this going?
Yeah, where is this going? He's like, so it would be for Princess Jasmine in Aladdin on Broadway. I took a beat. I was like, yes, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I mean, this audition was unlike anything I've really ever had to do, because self-tapes were always a thing, self-tape auditions, but that was the only option. So I taped myself singing that song, pretending I was on a magic carpet, which was such a funny experience. That, of course, turned into a Zoom session with the full creative team. So imagine singing that song with this like blue backdrop on gallery mode with all these people trying to not look too cheesy on this make-believe carpet.
I read in one of your interviews that you said, if you think you've had a tough Zoom call, listen to my Zoom call.
Yes, it was honestly so hilarious, because I was.
What was that day like?
Oh my gosh, I got the call and my agent was just like, I never call this late unless I have something to tell you. And he was just like, Shoba, we did it, you did it. How would you like to play Princess Jasmine in Aladdin on Broadway? And I was just besides myself. I was so excited.
What was your parents' reaction?
Well, my mom stitched me so many Princess Jasmine costumes growing up.
It's beautiful.
She got to see her little girl who idolized this character grow up to play her on a Broadway stage in front of thousands in the middle of New York City.
Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, once you got the role, I'm sure it was celebration and it was all wonderful. But then when you got down to it, tell us a little bit about what kind of pressure it came with.
I try not to think about those things, and instead just think about the work and making sure that whatever I'm bringing to her every night and whatever I'm bringing to the show is honest, and that I'm giving it 150%.
And what was that moment like, the first show, when you were out there, you're maneuvering a magic carpet, you're singing, you're acting, you're hearing the audience react? What were you feeling?
Well, I think there are two sides to this. One is the fact that our industry had just gone through such a difficult time. The pain that, I can only speak for myself, but like the pain that I experienced during that time was significant. Our country was our world was going through a hard time. There were just so many layers, and to not be able to perform and have something that I'd worked my entire life to do suddenly disappear and not know when it's coming back or if it's coming back was a very hard pill to swallow. And so to be able to step back on stage, I remember it was our invited dress rehearsal, which actually happens before opening night. The applause that I heard before the curtain even began to rise was so distinctly different than any other applause I'd ever heard in my life. Because it was just this sentiment of, we did it, we're on the other side, we made it. We're here as a collective, bringing this thing that is so meaningful to our lives into Manhattan back. So that was one element. And yes, the other element was, oh my gosh, I am putting on a Princess Jasmine costume.
Yes.
And I'm flying on a magic carpet. I'm above a beautiful, 1,400 seat theater audience with a 32-piece orchestra underneath me. It just sends goosebumps up my arm. There was a lot to process that night.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But very, very special.
Don't you dare close your eyes. Hold your breath, it gets better. I'm like a shooting star. I've come so far. I can't go back to where I used
are so proud of you, Shoba. The community is so proud of you. Tell us what feedback you've been getting from the South Asian community and other communities.
Definitely. You know, when I made my Broadway debut, actually that was the first time I started to really hear feedback from our community. And I think, I mean, the thing that was most moving is, one, I would get fan art. So I would see a South Asian, any minority group from their own heart express themselves through art and depict that character with brown skin or, you know, whatever skin tone they wanted, and say, because of you, because of seeing you in this role, I'm able to envision myself in these leading parts, or, you know, as a leading member of society. It's letters I've gotten from a lot of people from the South Asian community saying, I have never seen myself being portrayed on stage in such a powerful way, in a role that stands up for themselves and has the big musical number and is the beautiful girl in the gorgeous light, in the beautiful costumes. Like we've never seen ourselves that way.
And if you had to reflect over the past few months, what's it been like wearing a tiara to work?
Oh my gosh. I still can't believe that's real. To tell the lovely man who does my hair every day for the show, oh my gosh. I get to roll into work and put on a tiara. What is my life? Another wonderful thing that happens backstage, which I'm now like slowly getting used to. But oh my gosh, my first few shows back, the stage-hands, if I'm making a cross backstage, they'll say, "Make way for the princess," and I'll have to do a double take and be like, "Oh, they're talking about me." It's so crazy.
And how do you like being in New York, back in New York?
Words cannot express. You walk down the street and you see people from all different walks of life. I feel like New Yorkers are very special people. They're all running after some dream, and they're working 10 times harder than anyone else, in my opinion, in any other city. So there's something about the ambition and the drive and the energy that I think are just so unmatched. Is just a very, very special place, and I could not be happier to be back. It's so nice to be back.
New York is happy to have you back as well.
And for Broadway to be back. I feel like that is the heartbeat of New York.
If you had to reflect, a final note to our viewers out there, maybe taking bits and pieces from your journey, your mother's advice, what would you like to say to others out there?
Well, I think a big thing in my story is, if you don't believe in yourself, who will? And I would say, you know, the heartbreaking thing that I do hear a lot, well, it goes back to those letters I receive is, you know, I hear from South Asian people who say, I didn't know this was a possibility for me, and I instead went down like more of a traditional route, and I wish I could do this. And I would just say, you know, go after what you want to go after, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you know what? It might work out. It might work out, and believe in yourself. If you haven't seen it done before, that's okay. Be the first. You know, there are no limits. There are no boundaries, and go for it. We can do anything if we put our minds to it, and we work really, really hard. I would say believe in yourself. I would say be kind to everyone. You never know. Relationships are so important in any field, and what you put into the universe, the energy that you put out matters a lot. Don't try to conform to others, and stay true to what you believe in. I would say those are like the big takeaways.
Where do we see Shoba 10 years from now?
I don't know. I mean, hopefully I'm still doing what I love to do, and hopefully I'm making a difference in a positive way. I mean, that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point of
Absolutely.
Art, is to promote positive social change and to bring joy, and to raise a mirror to our faces so we can examine the way that we live and the way that we think. So hopefully I'm still doing work like that. Hopefully it's on on stage, on screen. Maybe I'll be directing. I'll definitely be producing. I don't know. There's a lot of possibility, and that's the exciting thing about being in this field is we don't know. We don't know what's going to unfold, but whatever it is, I hope it's
going to be great. We know that, and we
Thank
can't
you.
wait to see where your journey takes you next.
Thank you,
But
Nisha.
we'll be there cheering you on for sure.
Thank you.